In September of 1859, an event took place that sent shockwaves around the globe. People looking to the sky believed it was the end of the world. If a similar event were to happen today, the consequences could be devastating, potentially wiping out 90% of the population within 9 months. The good news is, we don't have to wait for this to happen naturally. A rogue nation using a man-made device could actually... Wait a minute, that's not good news. Anyway, I'll show you some ways to be prepared so you're not part of that 90%. Welcome back, Hex Maniacs. Let's talk about EMPs. In case you don't know, an EMP is a sudden burst of electromagnetic energy capable of wreaking havoc on electronic devices. It can be generated by a sudden discharge of electricity, such as that caused by a nuclear explosion or a solar flare. EMPs possess the ability to traverse vast distances, permeating buildings and vehicles alike. The extent of damage caused by an EMP depends on various factors, including its strength, proximity to the source, and the type of electronic devices exposed to it. The most plausible scenario for an EMP event would involve the detonation of a nuclear warhead at a high altitude. Contrary to popular belief, nuclear bombs are not solely designed to explode on impact. They can be triggered at any altitude. By initiating a high-altitude detonation, an attacking nation could disable communication devices, bolstering the effectiveness of a subsequent missile strike. EMPs can be created naturally as well. The Carrington event was a massive solar storm that occurred on September 1st, 1859. The storm caused widespread damage to telegraph systems around the world, even causing shocks and burn injuries to some telegraph operators. The storm generated stunning auroras visible as far south as the Caribbean, leaving people who had never witnessed such a spectacle convinced that the end of the world had arrived. If a similar event were to happen today, it would be far more catastrophic due to our heavy reliance on electronic devices. Whether from natural phenomenon or earthly ne'er-do-wells, the threat of an EMP is real. In a major EMP attack, it is likely that the power grid would be knocked out for weeks, months, or even years. Communication systems would be disrupted, and it would be difficult or impossible to get information about what was happening. And electronic devices would be damaged or completely destroyed. What time is it? It's Teotihuacan time! The end of the world as we know it. Think of all the ways we rely on electricity today. Air conditioning, heat, communications, power tools, cars, municipal operations like delivering water to your home, water treatment facilities, the food supply chain. The U.S. electrical system infrastructure is extremely outdated, and many of the parts are made in China. Whose idea was that? I mean, why don't we just have them make our medicine over there too? Wait, what? Really? A Department of Energy study showed that 50 to 80% of our power grid could still be down 5 years after a major EMP event. Opinions vary on what would be affected, but pretty much all modern electronics would be inoperable. That means even your modern vehicle probably won't work, but your old Mustang Fastback will. If you don't already have one, go buy one immediately. It is an essential part of your preparedness plan. Of course, you'll also need to have stored hundreds of gallons of fuel to run it because the pumps ain't working. Your refrigerator and freezer aren't going to work, so you need a long-term food storage plan that's power-free. Even if some of your electronics survive, it won't matter because the power grid is down, so... What about flashlights? Well, who knows? Some people say they'll work, some people say they won't. Some people believe it will be like going back to the Stone Age, but the Industrial Age is probably more like it. Think about how hospitals would be affected. You better get started eating better, like, right now. I could stand to lose a little weight myself. I've added a salad to every meal, but so far it's had no effect. It just dawned on me. You know who's watching this right now thinking, what's the big deal? Amish people. It's not the end of the world, it's... But what are some ways you can buy yourself some time to adjust? How can you be ready without being a doomsday prepper? First off, I mentioned this in another video, but you need to know your neighbors. In a catastrophe, you'll want to know who's weaker so you can go take their stuff. I'm kidding, mostly. Your first concern will be procuring water. If you know you're in an EMP event, fill every container you have with water from the tap. That water's gonna stop flowing soon. Fill your tub too. You can also get water from the tank on the back of your toilet, which sounds delicious, and your water heater tank. It's a great idea to have a rotating supply of water, but not everyone can do that. Water purifiers are great to have, but also learn how to purify water naturally. And maybe you'll also want to dig a shallow well. I'll put a link to a playlist right here that'll show you how to do all that and in the video description. And if you're on well water, remember you don't have power, so a manual pump as a backup is a great idea. Try to keep at least 3 months of food on hand at all times. Just try to buy a little extra each time you go to the grocery store. Even better, grow your own supply of food using heirloom seeds so that you have a constant supply of food and therefore seeds and therefore food. What is this? The Hacksman Seed Collection, why, it's like a mini seed vault. There's 53 varieties of non-GMO heirloom seeds in here to keep you going basically forever. I mean, I know you want one. I'll put a link right here and in the description as well. Canned goods are great to have on hand, both from the store and from home. Why do they call this canned? It's obviously a jar. Stupid. Freeze-dried food is awesome. It's better than canned. It practically lasts forever and keeps all the nutrients as opposed to canned food. It's also extremely lightweight and space-saving. Most of it requires water to reconstitute, but in a pinch, you can just eat it dry. And some foods you want to eat dry anyway. You can buy freeze-dried food, which is really expensive, or you can buy a freeze dryer like we did, which is also really expensive. But it lets you freeze dry all your own food. For about the cost of a new fridge, you can freeze dry all your leftovers, and in no time, you'll have more than a year's worth of food. It's the ultimate prepper tool. I'll show you some cool stuff you can do with one right here. If you can, go get some chickens, like right now. It's super easy to keep chickens, and they give you food every day. If you let them free range and you have enough land, you'll feed them little to nothing other than what they scratch from the dirt. Make sure you have a really good first aid kit on hand. This kit is from Refuge Medical. It will treat everything from boo-boos to bullet wounds. It has bandages, a splint, chest seals, tourniquets, and everything in between. You also need to have a supply of over-the-counter medicines available. If you take prescription medications, try to have several months on hand. There are companies like Duration Health, who I have no affiliation with, never worked with them anything, but they'll build emergency medicine kits for you. These can include medicines you don't currently take, but may need in an emergency. I'm talking medicine you don't even know you need yet. Keep flashlights and batteries on hand. Again, who knows if the flashlights will actually work. Better safe than sorry though. Make sure you store at least a couple of them without the batteries in them. If the flashlights don't work, you're gonna need to be able to start a fire, both for light and heat. Go ahead and keep a supply of candles on hand. I'll show you how to turn trash into fire starters in this video right here. Man, look at all these pearls I'm giving you people here, okay? I mean, it can't hurt to have some hand tools either. Power tools aren't gonna work. However, if you don't currently use tools, there's no need to start collecting them now. However, it's never too late to use those opposable thumbs. Whatever money you had in the bank will be inaccessible and probably gone, to be honest. Keep some cash on hand though. It's worth less every day, but maybe it will still have some value and could be useful. Items like food, water, and tools will probably have more value to barter with though. How-to books are great to have. We keep books on gardening, survival, building, and basic medicine. Google is gone, so no more quick searches. As articles and info on the web become more propaganda and less informational, it's important to do this anyway. Make sure any important documents are readily accessible. This means things like your birth certificate, passport, insurance information, and any paperwork like deeds or titles. Now, if you have all this stuff, someone's gonna wanna take it, probably within a couple weeks. And if you don't like pew-pews, that's cool. When you're getting ready, just know you're being selfless, gathering all this for someone else later. All you need is a double-barrel shotgun. If there's trouble, fire 2 shots in the air and any ne'er-do-wells will immediately retreat. I'm kidding, only an idiot or a tyrant would say something like that. Keep it simple. 9mm and 5.56, Glock 19 and AR-15. Simple to learn and easy to use. If you don't practice regularly, a shotgun can actually be really difficult to operate under duress. And if you're feeling spicy, go ahead and add a hunting cartridge in there of your choice. I can't wait to read the comments. A trained Belgian Malinois and a German Shepherd make good backups as well. How likely is all this to go down? Well, who knows, but usually if something can happen, it will happen. You don't have to live in fear though, just learn as much as you can. Hope for the best and prepare for the worst. The worst that could happen is you become ungovernable. My family actually tested living after an EMP. In this video right here, watch it and you'll learn even more. Thanks for watching.